Tricksters are perhaps the most diverse and misunderstood character types in all narratives. They are tied to several different tropes from the fool, the master in disguise, the mentor, and more. But what does it truly mean to be a trickster? And does the connotation of the title itself bear something negative or positive? Hey everyone, welcome to the Geek Talk. Today I wanted to discuss the idea of the trickster and how it applies to different characters and different kinds of roles, and how it got implanted on the West African deity Eshu, and whether or not that is a fair assessment of the god or not.
In my short story, Willow the Mischief Maker, and the full novel, The Gatekeeper's Staff, both featuring Eshu, I came by many different titles for the character, from Eshu the Guardian, Eshu the Gatekeeper, Eshu the Lord of All Roads, Eshu the Master of Communications, and most interesting of note, Eshu the Trickster. This last one comes with a bit of controversy among those who practice Ifa and its branching spiritual teachings, the faith systems that uphold the Orishas as holy beings, including Eshu. The controversy is that in some of their views, trickster is a bit of a dirty word and tends to trivialize what Eshu does for those he watches over. And true, when one mentions tricksters, images of foolish gestures tend to come to mind. But what I think that tends to get diminished in the dismissive nature of not calling Eshu a trickster is the inherent intellect and, yes, wisdom that comes along with the role. I'll explain that a little further by looking at some of my favorite uses of the trickster trope in some of my favorite movies.
Tricksters are not limited to only silly clowns or mischief or hello, kitty cat. That's my cat. Tricksters are not limited to just clowns, silly, comic relief, or one-liners. They are fiercely sharp, astute, and creative. And oftentimes, they come in the form of a mentorship role.
For example, when we first meet Yoda in the Star Wars franchise, he's a bit of a goofball. He's acting like a fool and a bit like a crazy person, but he feigns madness as a way to test the young Luke Skywalker in a lesson of patience. Yoda also does this to assess how Luke would treat what was seemingly a bona fide idiot, a first trial which he fails because he's too dismissive and a little rude in his treatment of Yoda. By setting up this scheme, not unlike a trickster, Yoda actually acts like a wise mentor, imparting an important lesson for life, especially for a wannabe Jedi Knight. We see this illustrated again when Simba from The Lion King first meets Rafiki. Protagonist meets Kooky Old Man in the forest. Kooky Old Man throws around some riddles and nonsense. Protagonist eventually learns an important lesson from Kooky Old Man, or really Monkey, who turns out to be a wise sage. Similar to Rafiki, Eshu is known to set up obstacles in the paths of humans so that they can learn and be stronger from that experience going forward. And in doing so, he opens up new paths to them. Just as Rafiki showed Simba the way to understanding that his father, Mufasa, was not dead because he lived within Simba. A lesson that helped Simba get out of his funk and allowed him to push forward to reclaim his throne. You see, a trickster's role is not to give up all wisdom on a silver platter. Give a person a fish and you feed them for a day, but teach that same person to fish and you feed them for a lifetime, and all that. A trickster as a mentor is a hard and arduous road, but one with a plethora of benefits on the other end. In my final example, I like to bring up the Miyagi dojo way of training, a trickster's haven. In the 1984 film The Karate Kid, Mr. Miyagi tells his student Daniel LaRusso that he would train him in the Japanese art of karate in exchange for doing his chores around the house. Even if you haven't seen the film, you know the line, wax on and wax off. These chores also include tasks like sanding the floor and painting the fence. Daniel does as he's asked for weeks without a single karate lesson, and when he finally is fed up, Mr. Miyagi reveals that his karate lessons were within the chores themselves. Painting the fence translated to blocking high punches, wax on, wax off became side deflections, and sanding the floor manifested in low blocks for kicks. If Daniel was just given the training as he normally would have at any other dojo, like Cobra Kai, the lesson might not have sunk in the same way. It was through Miyagi's deception of busy work that allowed Daniel to develop a solid foundation for his karate going forward, a muscle memory that might not have wrinkled in his brain otherwise.
With Eshu, the Orisha of the Yoruba pantheon and mythology, he falls in line with this sense of false trickster, or as overly sarcastic Productions puts it, the crouching moron hidden badass.
True, there are tricksters out there who are purely forces of mischief and mayhem, Loki and Joker to name a few, But there are also the beneficial tricksters, the hidden mentors. Yet, Eshu is not like these kinds of tricksters.
So while editing, I just thought that Joker actually could possibly be considered a mentor to Batman because he does teach him a lot of valuable lessons about being a vigilante and being Batman. So I guess Joker could kind of fit in there too.
Eshu is not like Loki or Joker as a trickster. He's more in line with the likes of Yoda, Rafiki, and Miyagi. He throws out a false persona, strange riddles, and unassuming obstacles to help those he watches over to succeed in their day-to-day.
So yes, I would say that Eshu is a trickster, and it shouldn't necessarily have negative connotations attached to it.
In fact, at least with regards to the trickster mentor specifically, which is what Eshu is to me because as an Orisha, his role is to guide humans to live their best lives possible, the moniker of trickster isn't really all that negative at all. And just like the Orishas themselves, there is no true sense of bad or good.
There is no either or, but and both. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about Eshu, I wrote a short story about him, which is completely free here on YouTube or on my website. I'm sure it's popping around here somewhere or below in the description box. It's called Will of the Mischief Maker. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace and much love to you.